Shot the yellow.
Entrepreneurship, it's our game. The Big Potato Podcast is yours to claim.
And we are back officially. We are back.
After a long time.
We back. All right. This is the Big Potato Podcast. Of course, you can see us now.
That's new. Brand new
features. Brand new features. We told you guys we were coming back with brand new features. And here we go. My co-host Stuart, for the first time on camera in this podcast. No stranger, of course, to the camera. And yours truly, Kendell. I'm here as well. We are here. We are the Big Potato Podcast team. And I mean, it feels fantastic to be back, Stuart.
Very, very much so.
Yeah.
It's been a long time. So to see what you've been up to.
Yeah, definitely.
We haven't just been dormant, hiding out.
Yeah.
Well, first you had carnival to let pass.
Of course.
We had to let certain things culturally in our country pass because, we want people to view the podcast, not just get caught up in other distractions, which there were a lot of. So we're back.
And we're ready to go.
Yes, you're seeing us now, seeing two ugly faces, but we still bring the best information we can to you.
Yeah, I feel you need to speak for yourself there, Stuart. But in any case, we're glad to have you guys. This is the Big Potato Podcast, Season 3, Episode number 1. All our fans out there, we thank you guys so much for being with us, sticking through the Season 3.
3?
Yeah, and 3 is our big number.
Wow, already. Yeah, it's a big number, but Season 3 we've been doing some work.
We've been doing some work, and I mean, the work never stops. This is the Big Potato Podcast, and we have lots to share with you guys this season. Loads of new features as well, a full plethora and cadre of new guests. Some changes in the format as well, which we hope you guys would appreciate. And of course, as I said, make sure you like, follow, subscribe to the Big Potato Podcast. Of course, on all social media platforms. And of course, you can also send us an email at thebigpotatopodcast@gmail.com. So why wait? Let's get going one time. Of course, we empower entrepreneurs for today's business landscape. It's light-hearted discussion with key business insights. Just in case you're joining us for the first time, that is what the Big Potato Podcast is all about. Tonight, we have a very special guest. We're going to be talking about the global climate right now, the global business climate in terms of what is happening out there. We're talking about international and regional sales culture tonight as well, which is huge topics. Business planning, and we'll touch a bit on that as well tonight. And of course, business solutions and resources, trends for entrepreneurs. We're going to talk about that tonight too. So why not introduce our guest one time? He is a business development manager of printing and imaging at TSL, which is Trinidad Systems Ltd. He's a lifelong regional and international sales manager, and he's built a huge sales career as well for himself. He is an entrepreneur and intrapreneur, and you guys would remember from our discussions last season, being entrepreneurial and intrapreneurial, what that means. And of course, he's data-driven, solution-oriented, and client-specific. When you hear those kind of terms, Stuart, you know it's a serious man that we bring in on the show here tonight.
Well, it's 2 seasons we've been doing this.
True.
And we know by now, you have to be solving problems. You have to be providing solutions. You have to be out there meeting with people. And from what you're saying in the bio there, it is no wonder he's a successful business development manager.
Yeah, and I mean, without further ado, let me introduce him. Let me introduce to the Big Potato Podcast, Mr. Matthew Jones. Matthew, welcome. Thanks for being here. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for christening Season 3.
Thank you for having me, guys. I really appreciate the invite and happy to be here, especially with the topics that we on. They kind of near and dear to my heart, so I appreciate that.
Fantastic.
Great.
No, I mean, Matthew, we don't stick in it. When it comes to the Big Potato Podcast, we unapologetic. We don't stick and we hit them with the hard facts all the time. Right? This is to build up entrepreneurs out there. So you guys make sure and take in everything that we are talking about tonight. It's a lovely discussion we have planned for you all. But first, let's jump inside our first segment, which is called What Caught Our Eye, brought to you by IBOMAQ. Stuart, you want to kick us off here tonight? I mean, we had to start with the boss first, you know.
The boss.
The master, as I call him.
I don't want all that. But again, we've been away so long. Normally, what caught my eye would be an article about the topic we're going to discuss for the episode. But we've been away so long that I think it's more important to kind of rant and get some things off my chest. You know, really purge my soul for some things, because a lot has been going on over the last 3 months since we've been off the air. You know what I mean? The whole world has changed. It's like the cup of confusion is being drunk by everyone. Everyone drinking from this cup. I mean, the first thing was DeepSeek.
Yep.
DeepSeek and then Manos came out after. And they basically showed that the AI in the Western regions kind of overpriced and overvalued. And that started to make a lot of problems in the stock exchange. And then they started to see the declines in the Mag 7s, because when one company spending $500 billion, a whole different nation spending $2.
Yeah.
I just saying, right?
Yeah.
To get the same output. So certain stocks overvalued, certain stocks overpriced. There need to be some corrections. And then the whole tariff issue, back and forth, up and down, up to today.
Yeah, it's still changing, right?
Not every day, every 2-3 hours, you have to check by the news to see what's going on right now. It's just increasingly multipolar world, you know, it's China and Russia and Europe and America. Before it was America with Europe as one, with Canada. Is everyone just kind of going their own way, like the whole globalization just in reverse right now. So even down to on the local setting, the Dragon gas deal get cancelled. So
yeah,
a lot has been going on over these last 3 months. So what caught my eye is volatility.
Yeah, it's a VUCA world we live in. It is volatile. It is uncertain. And I mean, it has been this way, and it continues to be this way. Matthew, anything from you on any of those topics that you brought up?
Bro, just listening to what he said there, it hits again. It's hits home for me on a daily basis, right? Because even though in a zone that is client adjacent, right? You're working alongside your clients to help them build their businesses. We have to support them on a daily basis. So when I hear you say words like tariff and globalization on the verge, and those things are things that we deal with on a daily basis. We have to supply goods and services to clients here locally. A lot of the times, they don't care about what your business is going through. You know what I mean? And we as well have a master to pay. And if you don't have the US dollar, it trickles down to their business. Now their business can't function because our business not function, and so on and so forth. And that trickle effect, that knock-on effect, I should say, is really what I have to deal with on a daily basis, especially with customers. Again, if my customers don't work, they don't eat. You know what I mean? And that's a different investment from where I stand, right? I really don't want people to not sleep at night thinking, well, I didn't do my job, and my boy not printing, or he not doing what he's supposed to do to feed his family. Because now I feeling, you know what I mean? And like I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do. But it's difficult based on a couple of things that you have there. Pricing is gonna affect everybody. Everything is gonna go up. Because just to get into this one thing, right? Even if you're dealing with an American supplier, right? You will tell yourself, well, okay, I'm buying from an American supplier, so therefore I should be protected, right? I'm buying from a US supplier, so my pricing shouldn't be tariffs, right? No, none of these manufacturers manufacture anything really. It's coming from somewhere else, right? And those are being tariffed to come into the country. Even if you buy parts to create a equipment, those parts are being levied on, and then they pass that to the customer. Now, in that case, the customer is us. When we get it, what do? We pass it again. So it is a tough situation. I hope that it's short-lived. I mean, I am trying to think with some optimistic glasses here. Kind of look at it from an optimistic point of view. But I hope it's short-lived, right? Because it's not that I don't understand. I get it, right? Not everybody's a fan of Donald Trump and his things that he does. But sometimes you could kind of understand why they're doing it. But again, it doesn't make it any easier to bear.
Any less painful.
Yeah, and you took the words out of our mouth, Matthew, because I was about to say a lot of these issues or current affairs were triggered by one person just returning to the White House. And I mean, it was so uncanny because it is literally everything that you described there.
Mm-hmm.
He had a role to play in just by coming back into power.
Well, not the deep seek.
Well,
China do their own thing.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Whoever in power there,
definitely, you know, but at the end of the day, we know what is happening out there, what the climate is, and it's very important on this platform where we empower entrepreneurs, that entrepreneurs understand exactly what is happening. And I'm glad that Stuart went down the road tonight of talking about hot items, hot issues, current affairs that may not just be happening in Trinidad. Because if you ask any Trinidadian right now, was the current affairs issues happening here, the first thing they would say is the election, right? Yeah. But look at how many international, global things are happening. And we always say entrepreneurs need to have a global mindset, understand what is happening, the dynamics of how it could impact you, impact your business, as Matthew spoke about just now. Matthew actually, we'll talk about it a little later, but Matthew actually is in business with a lot of entrepreneurs. A lot of his clients are entrepreneurs, whether they are growing entrepreneurs or well-established entrepreneurs. So we would love to get his perspective, a deeper perspective later in the show on that. And
as Matthew said, the brands he represent may be American IP, American brands, but the amount of components and widgets going into that brand, that part, that machine, that coming from all over the world, that it causes complications.
Of course. So, I mean, you might be listening. You want to know where we heading tonight. You want to know where we heading this season. Last couple of seasons, we really laid a solid foundation for entrepreneurs to understand in season 1 what entrepreneurship is about, how you approach it, the mindset, the qualities, all of these, the characteristics, all these different things. The journey. In season 2, we elevated it a little bit in terms of the conversation with some really top-notch entrepreneurs and talking about what are the dynamic things you need to look out for on that path. And when it is your business starts to grow. And this season, we are going to be talking a lot more about opportunities, solutions, and perspectives. And that is where I would jump in now and talk about what caught my eye. Perfect segue. So, what caught my eye, actually, when we decided to bring Matthew on, I said, all right, well, let me check out Matthew's profile. Let me see what he's into. So, you know, we do our research. And initially I said, all right, I wanted to talk about something more along the digital trends. But Matthew is into imaging. And I mean, at the end of the day, people have been saying since we went to Lockjack, I don't want to age ourselves, but you know, back then, the talk that we always heard was, print is dead and traditional is dead and marketing, print marketing, print advertising, these things are dead. And in my mind, I'm wondering, how come I'm seeing less billboards? When I used to ask persons for call cards, I could get a physical call card, but now they want to send me their call card digitally on my phone. You know, you don't even know if I have data to receive it.
That's your problem.
I understand. But, you know, everything seemingly, and then of course we had the whole pandemic time where everything went more or less fully digital. So is print really dead? And I came across an article, The Power of Print in 2025, in a 2025 digital world, written by Summer Gould. And basically, just to highlight a couple of things, they're saying print marketing is not dead. It actually thrives when paired with digital strategies. Benefits of print equate to greater recall, meaning that persons could recall what they saw better when they see it on print. Ironically, I'm seeing here that they're saying print actually has a greater open rate. So I'm thinking that this might be when people receive mail and so on physically. It is remembered more, as I said before, tangibility, giving it something that you could actually hold, as you guys realize, a hole in the sheet of paper right now. So it's tangible, you know, and I could resonate with it. If you receive a brochure or something, you know, you could feel it, nice glossy feel, all these things. Trust and credibility was something that is spoke about as well. Emotional connection. And we spoke about this, I think, with, when we were talking about records last season, in terms of CDs and digital forms of music, and the whole nostalgia and the whole emotional connection you have when you buy an album and you buy a CD. And I guess it's the same with print, right? And the longevity, less competition, multi-sensory impact. So you get to feel it, you get to touch it, you get to do everything with it basically. You could even smell it. Some things which are printed have a nice scent and all these things. So what are the opportunities for us to consider when we're talking in this digital 2025 world and we're talking about print? And that's where I want to bring Matthew in right now. What are the opportunities entrepreneurs out there need to consider with this whole print is dead conversation?
Well, you raise a topic there that, again, I know it was going through my profile that it maybe led you to that, right? Meaning in terms of where you're going to come with the question, right? But my background was never really in print all the time, right? I came from, I've always been in sales, but I knew nothing about print, right? Up until I would say about 15 years ago, right? I started working for a company, and the owner of the company, that's Lindy Ali, if I could say her name, my mentor of sorts, right? My mentor, she taught me basically everything that I knew about at the time. I did because I came from selling equipment into a space that I knew nothing about, right? And the first thing that she did was said, okay, for the next 2-3 weeks, you're going to be working in this company, and drop me into a printery, which is Skweird printers, right? Put me in there for a couple of weeks, and I was blown away because even for me, right, and for most of us, we think that we want something printed. They hit a button, it's printed, and it's done. But no, the processes that print has to go through before it gets to you, mind-blowing, right? A book doesn't just come out as a book. The book has to be printed, it has to be cut, it has to be folded, it has to be stapled, it has to be trimmed to the size that you have to get it to, right? Some things you have to, when it's bended, you don't want the ink to crack. So there's so much goes into it. But that term "print is dead" is something that kind of strikes at my heart, because I know the reason why they're saying it, right? Print as an industry, especially printed media, things that you hold in your hand, is on a slow decline. It's been on decline for some time. So they like to use the term dying. But the truth is that there's so many ways to enhance it, to make it more profitable, more valuable, right? And you touched on quite a few of those points, right? Printed media emotes a stronger connection, right? Which is why textbooks, no matter how much they try, will always be textbooks. Because you retain more when you actually hold and read, right, than reading something on a screen. It's been researched several times. So textbooks will always be something that is there. Now, of course, there's a shift. They're trying to move it in a different direction. But also, in terms of the marketing side of the marketing space, doing all these different things to help make you connect is something that they have added to the space. Now, you mentioned adding scent, doing different types of marketing research. One I'd like to just add in, which is very, very a pivotal moment for most printing companies around the world. I don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, Coca-Cola did something called the what was the name of the tagline? Coke and You, I believe it was. That's when they had
right.
your names on the bottles.
Your names.
They had names on
right.
all the bottles. They had done some research in Australia at that time, and this is a couple of years ago now, but they realized that Coke was out of touch. They had done research, and that nobody from the ages of 18 down had even drank a Coke in their life. Think about that. If you didn't address that market, in a couple of years, your brand would have aged out because nobody knows about it. They would have made children, they would have had kids and not have them drink a Coke. So they had to find a way to connect. Now they reached out to a specific printing company. I think it was HP, and they came up with a campaign to do the hashtag and to have something that was that people would gravitate towards. And they started putting all the names. They found the top 100 and something names in the country at the time, and they found a way to get people to pick up a Coke and then post it. And that tie into social media is exactly what you're saying, right? You're tying the printed media now with a social media or a marketing campaign. And now that is where the magic happens, right?
Yeah.
So definitely print is not dead. There are definitely areas that are growing, specifically labels and packaging. Those are the two largest growing industries in print right now. And we're seeing significant growth with regard, even in Trinidad right now, garment manufacturing, garment printing. That's also very, very important.
Okay. And I mean, I would not have thought about garment printing. Definitely labels. I have seen more entrepreneurs getting into that space of doing label printing and packaging. And I think in preparation for this episode, we spoke a little bit about that.
Well, you would see plenty of the garment printing in the malls and so.
Right.
The little kiosks and so, where you bring a t-shirt, you place your order and you come back and collect.
Right.
Well, based on, I will just go into my feedback on what caught your eye. Let me check my notes because I was writing some notes as you were speaking there. Right. I like what you said in terms of the branding. It allows you to really, both of you and Matthew, it allows you to differentiate your brand. And if I use a simple example as business cards, you might take my phone number digitally, but when you're scrolling through your contact list, there's nothing to stand out to say, well, I remember this. Mm-hmm. It's just a set of numbers, a set of names. When you hand someone a actual physical call card, they could just be scrolling through the Rolodex and they're like, hey, I remember this design or there's something about this. And then you have now the ability to choose paper type, whether it's satin and or a lot of different options to really differentiate your brand from everyone else and give someone something that, as I said, tangible, that easy to find and easy to trigger. Yeah. I remember that conversation I had with
emotional connection.
Emotional connection. Yeah. So, yes, I mean, we all think digital going to take over the world. I remember when I was in primary school, my dad created a digital company. He was telling me that he was working in the bank all that time. And from all the trends, he realizing that it's going to be a paperless society.
Right.
But yet I still have a pencil in my hand here.
Yeah.
And I still have a notepad here. Yeah. And pencil and paper will never go out of fashion.
I would do one better. You wrote a book.
I wrote a book.
And printed it.
I have an e-book version. I have an e-book version. But yeah, I printed it as well. I didn't use scripture. But the physical, I'm glad you brought that up. I could sign my book and give it to someone.
Correct.
I can't sign the ebook. Mm-hmm. You know, I can't pose and take a picture with someone with the ebook.
Yeah.
You know,
you pull out your tablet
it's a physical something.
Hold it up.
Yeah, hold my tablet up and show the screenshot, right? No. It gives you a lot more room to differentiate yourself and push your personal brand once you're strategic with it.
Perfect. Man.
And again, tying it to your digital presence as well.
And don't forget that, because of course we do still live in the digital age right now, highly technological, but it doesn't mean that some of the traditional methods and ways that we would have gone about doing marketing before and presenting different marketing paraphernalia and media cannot be used and tied into your overall marketing strategy. So for all entrepreneurs, I hope you have taken all those gems that have passed across in what caught our eye tonight, brought to you by IBOMAQ. Remember to contact us for all of your business consulting needs. That's what we're here for, to help you to grow. Whether you're seeking guidance or solutions for your business, we're here to help. Contact us via IBOMAQ868@gmail.com. That's IBOMAQ868@gmail.com. And let's discuss how we can collaborate for your success. And we are back on the Big Potato Podcast. Wonderful discussion already.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, if it's one thing though, Stuart, as soon as the episode starts, is literal asteroids that flying, gems just flying all over the place. And that's one thing I love about the Big Potato Podcast. Make sure that you share it with your friends, your family, anybody that you know thinking about starting a business or doing a business currently. This is the platform for entrepreneurs. We're talking tonight with Matthew Jones, Business Development Manager in Imaging and Printing and Imaging at TSL, Trinidad Systems Ltd. Matthew is delivering great insight already. And Matthew, your current role is business development manager at TSL. A little earlier, you said to us, you weren't always there. You weren't always in printing. Tell us a little bit about how you moved, because I realize you tried entrepreneurship as well. So you are an entrepreneur. I don't ever say somebody was an entrepreneur. Once you're in it, you're in it for life. So how did you really move and segue yourself from being an entrepreneur and then jumping into the realm of where you are now in terms of a business development manager?
Right. Well, so coming up, maybe Stuart could give me some background on this. I was never really the brightest star in the bunch in class, right? So coming up, it was coming out of school, I didn't really do too well, right? But I was always happy that my mother and father kind of blessed me with the ability to speak, right? Sometimes my wife might actually tell me I speak too much, right? But I was always good at talking to people, right? And sharing. So if I tasted something that tasted nice, I would tell somebody about it, and that right there is a sale, right? So I started off in car sales, and then I migrated into equipment sales with regard at TrackMark, selling forklifts and stuff like that. But it was never really something that fulfilled me. I loved cars, so that was something that was nice. But someone called me out and they said, listen, I think I have a position for you that you'll be great at. This is actually an old customer of mine. Sold him a car, and he called me 5 years later and was like, Matt, I think I have a position for you to come and take a look at here. Got into the print industry, knew nothing about it. The print industry has allowed me to travel the world, dealing with the international brands that we have. Tried my hand at being an entrepreneur. I must say that it was definitely not easy. I wouldn't say it was a failure, because it's still a dream of mine to do, right? But I do give props to people that go that route, right? Because you have to be your own worst boss, right? You have to be you have to want to kick yourself in the butt, get yourself up and keep going. It's pretty difficult for me, but I do help entrepreneurs on a daily basis. So I see what they have to go through, and like I said, it's actually a goal of mine. One of my mottos is to make sure and help people grow as much as they can. Once I can add value, But it was not always a natural progression to me, to be really, really honest. Even stepping into the business development management portfolio, it was a daunting task to me, because I've always been a boss of me, kind of doing my own thing in the sales space. Managing other people was never really something that I wanted to do. However, starting the role at the beginning of the year, it's been really, really exciting. It's been it's opened my mind to so many different things. I've changed experiences. I've met new people, and that is really where I realize my main focus is interacting with people and helping people to get to their goals. I think is where I fit, right? So that's kind of where I kind of my trajectory in a nutshell. But that's it.
Yeah. I mean, what I love is the fact that you mentioned quite eloquently that you help entrepreneurs grow. And that is what this platform is responsible for as well. That's why we're here. As we say, this is the best social entrepreneurship that we know. Yep. All right. So at the end of the day, I think we are aligned where that is concerned, and we will talk a little bit more about your experiences in helping entrepreneurs grow, because that is a major factor in terms of business solutions that you provide them with.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's one thing Matthew said just now there, that he failed at the business, but we don't ever say that.
Ever.
We don't ever say that. You learn, and you're able to transition from that and take your soft skills and move on to a different position and leverage those soft skills. Mm-hmm. So there's never a failing at all. Now, if you go back into entrepreneurship, you leverage these skills, your new skills, and you leverage that back into entrepreneurship now. So it's always a learning and moving from step to step and climbing the ladder, But what my question would be, you touched on it a little bit just now there coming on to the end, but what's your approach to building trust and long-term relationships with clients in the market?
That was a hard lesson to learn, actually. I was never one to like to impart bad news. I would hide from it, right? And it was something of one of my skills that I lacked. So I don't like to give bad news. I might quicker duck your call than give you bad news, right? And I realized that just causes more problems. So now I'm as upfront as I can be. This is what's going to happen. This is how it most likely will pan out. However, there may be hiccups, so I make sure and hedge. And I think when you do that, people they gravitate towards you because they don't think you're gonna blow smoke, right? You're gonna give them the real. This is how it's gonna be. This is how it may turn out, and the actual outcome, hopefully will be as close to what you told them. So being as real as possible, I believe, is something that has worked for me, right? As I said, especially now as we're talking about the situation with regards to the US dollar and tariffs and so on and stuff like that, that leads to negative. It's going to, you're going to have to give the news of, hey, price is going to go up, right? It coming. So you get in front of it, right? I had another mentor of mine tell me, the best way to avoid bad news is not have it come up. And the way that you not have it come up is to tell them up front, right? So you don't let them bring it up. Hey, by the way, no, you tell them up front. Don't let them bring it up to you. So that has always stuck with me as well. So yeah, that's what I think. I think being real, providing, information from beyond our shows is also something that's pretty important. I do travel a lot for work. Do quite a few expos, so I'm able to interact with companies akin to theirs in the US and in Europe, and be able to bring some of their best practices and back to them and see if we can find a way to make it work for them. Because it won't always work, right? Because again, there are cultural norms different in different areas. But by and large, if something is working, there's no reason why you shouldn't try.
No, I'm glad actually that he brought up the cultural differences, because that was actually where I wanted to go next.
But before you even ask that question, I just wanted to say how fabulous that response was. But entrepreneurs, we don't love bad news, but we appreciate bad news.
Let it come first.
Let it come first, because at the end of the day, you're trying to make decisions based on risk at all time. And if it is you have a fair estimate as to what the real risk is into your decision, you're going to make a bad decision and then be upset at the end of the day. So by you providing that as close as possible, realistic level of risk, they could put that in the computation and understand, well, is that a good decision or a bad decision? Is that a risky decision or not a risky decision? So now the entrepreneur is able to make a decision on a step forward. So fabulous.
Yeah. And well, as you mentioned that, I have a question on that too. So I mean, we could push culture along a little bit here and come back to that. But in terms of what we're talking about right now and really delivering the news that you need entrepreneurs to trust you for and to deliver the service that they require. So what sort of transformation, which we were talking about before, and since we're talking about trust now, what sort of transformation is there happening in the industry that you find that entrepreneurs need to know about upfront? Because obviously we're talking here, the services and solutions that you provide, and a lot of your customers or clients are entrepreneurs, as you say. So in terms of the transformation in the industry specifically, what do you think that entrepreneurs really need to know? Let's help them build some trust right now.
Okay. So, I mean, transformation in so many different ways, right? I think most people think of transformation as in doing a 180, right? It's something that's almost not recognizable from what you are right now. And that doesn't always have to be the case, right? There's gradual transformation and there's different parts along that way, it's different stopping points. So for me, especially in my industry, in the printing and imaging industry, there's so many segments, right? And you have specific customers that try to do it all, right? They want to be a one-stop shop. There are some that want to be a niche shop. They want to focus on a specific type of print, right? And now you're bringing the information to them to help them now find their way. Because again, not because something works, you want somebody to move towards it, right? It's what works for them and what they feel comfortable in. Now, transformation is something to me, especially within the entrepreneurs in my space. What I am seeing is quite a few print trees aging out, meaning that the owner of this print tree would have started this print tree 20 years ago, right? At this point now, to get him to invest is really difficult. The reason is that he's not in touch with new technology. He's not in touch with what's happening right now. He's still accustomed to doing things his way. And his kids either are not interested in the business, they have moved on because he's provided them with a platform that they now could probably study abroad, and they don't want to come back home. So now he's stuck in an area of, how do I move forward? I don't have anybody to take on my business to move it forward. Do I sell the business? Do I keep sticking to what I know, or do I find a way to change? So bringing it back to what's happening internationally, you would hope that some of the ideas that you bring from the United States and beyond can help people tie these things together, right? It's not always an easy task, right? But to transform now, I would say, again, it's such a broad topic, but for me, is finding what is not what's happening now, but what's happening next, right? Because if you think what's happening now, you're already behind the ball. What's going to happen next is the real question.
Okay, well, based on what you just said there, my question would be, how important do you see you observing, you work with all these entrepreneurs, how important do you see business planning being in their operation? Do you think that they see the wider picture?
So I would think that most people that start off have some sort of plan, right? How effective that plan is, remains to be seen, because you would plan, but execution is really the other part of it, right? I don't see a lot of it. I do see people that see an idea and dive in, right? And when they get in there, they try to swim and find their way around, right? And sometimes it does work, right? Sometimes it does work, but it won't work for everyone, right? Of course, planning is key, right? Knowing your next step when you've finished something, where do I go next is such a big problem to resolve. People don't think about what their next step is, and that's where they kind of trip up, right? They get stuck. Right. They get stuck in a zone where they get comfortable, and that's where the growth doesn't happen. They don't move to the next point. But an opportunity may be presented in front of you, and you're not ready, right? You're not ready to do that. So I think your planning is important. I think we need to do more of it in that space, definitely, especially for young entrepreneurs, right? We're not talking about, even some of the older ones, right? Getting them to come to think outside the box is not always easy either.
Yeah. And then the succession planning too.
Yep.
Yeah, and I mean, at the end of the day, before we wrap up this segment, what I think is important is the differentiation between a business plan and business planning. Right? Because we talking here business planning, right?
Strategic
business planning, right? Not just off on a whim and no research and no foundation and these things. And I know that some of the audience might think, all right, well, does that mean that I need to go and write out a 20-section business plan full with my financials, my cash flow, and my income statement, and all these different things. And we would advise that you do have a business plan itself that you are guided by as you go through your business and the life of your business. But the actual planning of it, yes, you need to write things down. I always tell people that. Does it need to be in the format of a business plan at first? Maybe not. But get your ideas down on paper. Far often when it is, I talk to entrepreneurs and other people, sometimes even people in business, entrepreneurs like Matthew, they have great ideas, as you said, and they could tell you all about it, and they go into town on some of the things that they're going to do and what they want to do. But then when you ask the how, when you ask the why, then when you ask when, how you get in there, what's your roadmap? Sometimes you start seeing the gears start slowing down, they grind to a halt a little bit. And a lot of the times as well, they're not writing things down. They're not putting down things in a format somewhere that it could be stored, that they could come back to it, that they could look at it, that they could reflect on it and say, all right, well, you see, this is what I was thinking last week, Saturday, but now on further reflection or with some more research, or because I had a conversation with Matthew about what's happening in China, what's the latest technology that's going to be coming in. Maybe I need to rethink this thought that I had. I don't even want to call it a strategy because it hasn't reached that stage as yet. So, business planning is integral for all entrepreneurs, all right? Do you need to write your business plan? There are different schools of thought on that. Some people will tell you a business plan is not so important. Other persons will tell you that you need to have your business plan. That's the Bible for your business, really and truly.
You have to have a plan.
You must have one, right? I mean, Matthew, you are an entrepreneur, and I mean, for your European car business, I'm sure that you would have done some business planning.
I did. But again, it was a hobby that turned into something that I thought I could do more with. So yeah, but I think I could have done a better, honestly.
Yeah. And I mean, that is exactly how most entrepreneurs get started, really, things that they're passionate about and, they want to get into. But we have more coming for you guys inside the next segment. We're actually going to be talking a little bit here now in terms of the culture of how things happen across borders, because we know entrepreneurs, we want to branch out, we want to go regional, we want to go international. So we're going to talk a little bit about understanding sales and cultural differences when we get back. This is the Big Potato Podcast.
From Ibadan to Helyard, from slavery to independence, learn how Helyard, the Trinidad All-Stars, created the Trini identity and how that was leveraged for our independence. Get your copy on Amazon now.
And here we go. We are back. And we told you guys we have a brand new segment this season on the Big Potato Podcast. Stuart, Kendell, and Matthew, we're here. And this segment is called, or I should say feature, not really a segment, is called Would You Rather. I know you guys know it. You guys know Would you rather type game.
A child game.
Yeah. So we're bringing it into the business podcast, into the entrepreneurial podcast. Stuart, kick us off now.
All right. So my question for both of you all, give me a quick answer. Would you rather go viral on TikTok for your product or be on the cover of Forbes magazine for your product? Boy, I catch all you there.
I chin Robin. I seen that chin Robin here by Matthew, but you go through now. Go first.
Well, within my space, I think I would prefer to go viral.
Why is that though?
So for me, it reaches more of the grassroots that I would like to reach out to. Right. Because I might be on Forbes and the people who I want to talk to, they wouldn't see that.
The target market.
But for me, the person who I want to help is the guy who trying to build. Who coming up and mightn't have the money to buy Forbes, but you see him on TikTok. You say, hey, let me reach out to this guy, let me talk to him. And I think that's more where I think I would see value.
More return.
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, for me, I'm the same here. I think that especially in the world and environment that we are in right now, music, for example, hits are being built on TikTok.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean, it really depends, as Matthew said, on the industry that you're in, what you have to offer. And for me, I definitely would take, for what I have to offer, going viral on TikTok and than being on the front cover of Forbes. If I had something different to sell, or I was positioned differently, then definitely, front page of Forbes for sure.
Okay, well, I would give my own. I would agree with the two of you.
Yeah.
I would take the viral opportunity on TikTok. Simply because on TikTok I could communicate with people. People could reach out to me and I could respond to them. I can't respond to them from the cover, but I could engage with them and really bring them into my sales funnel.
Of course.
That is the old reason. But again, these would you rather, there isn't really a right or wrong answer.
Correct.
It all depends, like as Kendell said, it all depends on, and as you said as well, Matthew, what product is selling and who your target market would be.
Correct. I think what is important before we go to because we're going to do two would you rathers tonight. Why not? The next one is understanding that when you get that, what do you say, virility, I guess, or
virality.
Virality. I think virility is something else.
Yeah, I know that's what I think.
But when you get that, you need to be able to sustain it, and you need to be able to use that attention, that your newfound fame, as you say, that 15 minutes. Yeah, definitely to sustain and ready to build something long term.
Okay.
All right.
You win the game. You conquer the game.
You win both ways. But even based on what you said, Matthew, I want to ask you this one. So, would you rather attend a networking event full of C-suite executives or an emerging startup founders mixer?
Again, for me, I would get more energy from the startup event, right? That the energy that will be bouncing around in that room just off of, people wanting to absorb rather than trying to rub shoulders with the right person. I think that would excite me more. It would get my juices flowing. I would be in my element. You know what I mean? And I feel I would gravitate towards that because again, it goes back to my core. What my core and modus operandi is to help grow, right? I want to reach people that I can help take to the next level, So that would definitely be more of the place I would prefer to be in.
Nice, man. Stuarty?
That's a tough one. I might have to cheat a little bit to this answer here. I would prefer the C-suite networking events simply because there'll be more opportunities for finding right mentors and, more. Yes, there's opportunity with the startups, but from my experience, let's just say this is me dealing with that here through the podcast.
Right.
This is my networking with the startups. I would see a lot more value. At least again, it all depends on where you are in life, what you're trying to accomplish, and all these type of things. But for me specifically, put me in the room with the C-suite people where we could have proper conversations. It's not as exciting and excitable as the startup people could be, Sit down, meet people, find the right mentors, find opportunities that they already have in place. I'm not trying to create opportunities too much in that setting. And that's in the C-suite setting, I'm trying to exploit opportunities, rub shoulders, network, and position myself in a certain way as well,
So and again, as we say, there's no right or wrong for these, it's really dependent on what you have to offer, how you would like to brand yourself, how you'd like to position yourself for your target audience, because I could see both working. Both.
And
I
didn't want to say both though.
You just don't want to be on the fence, right? But, and I would probably tend to agree, with being in the C-suite environment for this one specifically, because you understand the power that is in the room and how you can learn, firstly, but also I think that investors and finding the right investors, sometimes you could only find them in those sort of environments, right?
Partnerships.
However, it was a tough decision because, as Matthew said, the energy, the ideas, I mean, we are entrepreneurs. We have been in mixers with and rooms with other entrepreneurs and ideation sessions and boot camps and these kind of things. And those things are phenomenal. And for all the entrepreneurs out there, if you ever have the opportunity to attend any of those sorts of events, do so, right? And that is our new feature, which is called Would You Rather? So moving swiftly along, because we have a bit more time here with Matthew tonight, who has graciously given us his time, and we would really want to thank him for that as well. But, we're talking about mixers, we're talking about networking opportunities, we're talking about all of these sort of things. You spoke earlier about how well-traveled you are for business and for work, and obviously for meeting clients and all these things. What is the impact on an entrepreneur's life, especially someone who is trying to really drive their business forward and grow, which all entrepreneurs are trying to do, of really doing that sort of thing, of really traveling, really exploring, really attending trade shows, really attending mixers, networking events?
Okay, so again, as with anything else, managing costs comes first, right? Understanding where you are in your business is always something, knowing where, as you were saying, knowing where you want to go next, where you are currently, that spend, because of course it costs money to do it, right? But it's an investment as in anything else. What I can say is going to trade shows in whatever environment that you're in opens the playing field. I guarantee you, you will see things that you did not dream of. And the idea didn't even come to you if you didn't go to these events. And for those who haven't been, the scale and the sheer size of some of these events really can't be explained. I remember, I think the largest one that I've been to was Drupa, and that was in Germany. And after going to so many expos in the US, where it's like 2 or 3 halls. Now a hall, don't think of Center of Excellence, right? A hall in the United States is something that would take you can't take a day to go through the entire expo, right? And the one in Germany, which was Drupa, was 21 of those, 21 halls, right? There were like conveyor belts, literally, that take you from one to the next. Some you have to take a small bus to get to the next one. Wow. But again, walking through there, you have no choice but to be inspired. You have no choice. And I've spoken to so many customers over the years, and I try to encourage them. Listen, are you going to the show? It's coming up, and I would show them, send them invitations, get passes for them to get them to go. Because once they're there, then I can say, okay, listen, take a look at this. Go speak to that supplier. Talk to this guy. He knows what he can show you. This is the new software to help you manage your workflows. And again, with the internet, you do have a window, right? But going to the expo, you go into a double pane door, right? Being there to see it, touch it, feel it, use it, ask the experts the questions directly, and you have their undivided attention because they want your business, right? So I would say definitely in any industry that you're in, there's an expo for it, right? Find the nearest one, do your research, do your budget, right? And it doesn't have to be a now thing. It can be next year, the year after. But like anything else, you plan for it, you budget for it, and then you execute. But expos are very, very important. Very important. I think it's a phenomenal opportunity. And once you have the ability to,
it's a great opportunity to really enhance your competitive advantage as well.
Of course.
So, for instance, if you and 3 competitors are the only people running the market, and you're the only one going out there and seeing all the latest opportunities or the latest technology, the latest trends and coming back, you have the competitive advantage over the people that's still relying on last year information and last year systems. So you're now able to get more return on your investment, more profitability, and scale and expand. and hopefully take more pie.
Yeah.
So I think it's very important for that competitive advantage.
Mainly, I would say as well, when you hit these expos, and I've been at a few myself, and yeah, when you started talking about the US, the last one I went to in Las Vegas was the SEMA show, in the automotive industry, which I'm sure you would have been, as well. And the inspiration is real. And you could go there as an entrepreneur. Once, of course, you could afford, and there are expos of different levels as well and different skills, so you could find something that may fit your budget too. But definitely, I think mainly when you get there, even if you just had an inkling of an idea, you haven't fleshed it out properly to a viable opportunity yet, you are going to leave there. I think we were talking about business planning earlier. You're going to leave there with so much ideas, so many ideas, so many different ways that you want to approach it. You now have new suppliers. You have so many connections all around the world. Mm-hmm. We talk just, was it tonight? Yeah, we spoke about that is a global world, and entrepreneurs need to have a global perspective. So you can't just want to sit down from home and try to make all your connections on the internet.
Yeah.
Yes, it has opened up so many doors for us, and you can send an email, we could reach out on Zoom, we could have all these chats and whatnot. That opens the door. But when you get there and you're actually able to see and feel physically and to interact with
shake a hand, touch somebody,
and deal with their product and what they would like you to bring into the market is tremendous. We think in Trinidad, in the Caribbean as well, that probably we have seen it all. Mm-hmm. We have not. All right. And there are so many opportunities that once you open your eyes to it and you're exposed to it, that you could bring it back to Trinidad and integrate it into our system. So that is something that I really wanted to touch on. But Stuart, when you go to these and start dealing with these different countries, there's something you have to think about as well, right? Because now you're not talking to a Trini anymore.
A different culture entirely.
So is there something that we have to do as entrepreneurs as well, where culture is involved?
Well, I'm going to tell you this, sir. People like to group people and group things into categories and boxes. So we can't say, well, here what's going on. We go into America. They have many different states, many different cities, many different towns. Where you're going, that has to be tailored specifically to that specific market you're going to. People like to say, well, Latin American market, Trinidad Latin American market, we don't speak Spanish. So if it is you coming to Trinidad to sell, thinking, well, we need somebody to speak Spanish to go around Trinidad because they're Latin America, you kind of lost the plot already. So, Macho, any thoughts on that? I'm going to leave that up to you because I will go wrong on that. See you, I should answer that.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, the Caribbean, as on a global scale, is such a drop for some of these brands, right? We always get lumped into LATAM, right? Latin American. And sometimes I join calls so much so that a couple of brands, I told us, listen, if you're not sending me a meeting in English, don't invite. Right? But the truth is that it does happen. I mean, and even in the Caribbean, as Stuart was saying, just like in the US, when you have from state to state, town to town, they have different norms, different culture, different communication styles, business etiquette. It's all different, right? Same in the Caribbean. Because I try to get a lot of my clients to think, well, maybe not globally, but at least regionally, right? Yeah. Your business is not just Trinidad. With the advent of the internet and different software tools and so on, you can be online and sell to the region, right? And find a way to market it and get it out there, right? But understanding those communication styles, different cultures, and adapting to markets and branding strategies in different areas. Jamaica, you stamp green on something, it'll sell, right? Yep. Right? It's just they have different things that you need to learn. But all of that goes back to the planning that we were talking about earlier and what you really want for your brand, your business, your company. You know what I mean? So definitely it is something that I think you should, again, even doing the expos gives you the opportunity, right? You meet different people from different walks. You meet clients, right? That just standing at the booth somebody can give you an idea, something that they're doing, that you're doing right here in Trinidad. And, we solved that last year. We did ABC. Really? Bring it back. Right? So again, all of these things tie together and dovetail really nicely. Finding a way to marry the ideas that someone gives you with what you have planned could be a really, really beautiful thing.
Yeah, I agree.
That's fantastic. So entrepreneurs, once again, ensure that you at least study the culture of the territories, the regions. Even in Trinidad, different parts of the country, you might want to be selling your products into, your service into. There's a certain approach that you have to make. There may be not just geographical culture differences. There are differences in culture apart from just the territory and the region.
Psychometrics.
So, of course. So you need to understand the behaviors. You need to understand the different things that are happening in the regions and how the people interact. A handshake in one country may not be the way that they do it in another country. You might need to, just give them a nod, right? If you stretch your hand out to shake, it might be disrespecting them, right? So, how you interact with women from different regions and different religions and backgrounds and different things is very dynamic. And I think that as entrepreneurs, we need to understand that as well at all times, because we don't want to stay just here selling, in one place. We want to expand, we want to grow, and we want to explore. All right. So we're coming down to the end. As a matter of fact, I think I'm going to wrap up my questions there.
I just have one more question for Matthew.
I know you always have one more in the bag, Stuart.
You go first.
I already wrapped up there. So
you wrapped up?
Yeah, I wrap it up already because I'm leaving the
last question.
The landing here for you.
Last question. Easy question. How have you seen the demand for printing services? Because there's certain indices you could look at, items being shipped for delivery, cardboard boxes, manufacturing and distribution in America. You say, okay, well, all these cardboard boxes going out, that means people buying things. If it is the cardboard boxes not going out because the economy under some pressure. So how would you see the demand? Has it been going up post-pandemic? How has it been affected by the tariffs, all of this bacchanal volatility that's been going on? And how do you see it relating to actual economic upturn or downturn?
So printing and imaging industry, I think, is strong, right? I think coming out of COVID, which was a tough time for all anybody who was a PSP or print service provider, it was a tough time because you couldn't do anything, right? You couldn't manufacture. Some, depending on who you were supplying to, maybe you could have. But I think the industry has bounced back really nicely, and most customers have found their niche or what the area that makes them money. And because you generally a lot of the time you can buy one piece of equipment, and that piece of equipment is not dedicated to a specific application. I can do several applications on this piece of equipment. It gives me several streams of income to follow, right? I can buy a wide format printer, for example, and I can do canvas printing for home decor. I can turn around and use that same printer and print labels, right? And cut it down on a plotter and take that same printer and run adhesive for carnival trucks when carnival comes around, right? So that one piece of that one investment gives you several streams of income from several different application types, right? So the industry, I think, is growing, right? But as I said before and earlier, labels and packaging, from my perspective, are the main growing sectors in the print industry. Some of them are pretty stable, right? Things that are printed, that can be printed on a screen, generally those have gone on. Tickets have gone digital majority of the time. Even invitations, I can't remember last time I saw an invitation, right? Flyers and those things. These are things that have now migrated to social media. However, there are ways, as we mentioned before, to tie in that print back into the marketing plan. Even in the office, in a business, right? You have to have printers in there to get work done. They no longer even call them printers. They're now workplace assistants.
Wow.
With AI built in, right? So they know what your practices are in the office. The printer knows that every time you send a job, this particular job is of a certain security level. It'll hold it. It won't print it, so somebody can pass and see it, right? AI knows what you're doing, and it's going to help, manage that workflow for you, right? These are all things that are built into printers now. That does not just allow it to press a button and print out something. It now enhances your work environment. That's in the office space. And for print service providers, PSPs, those guys, they have a whole plethora of information to pull from software that manages your cost, right? Manages your workflow, because right now they're trying to reduce touch points. Touch points are where humans interact, right? I can have an online platform that you just lodge your order, and a human doesn't touch that. It goes straight into a queue. It's analyzed, it's cut, its dimension, and sent to a printer and done automatically. A human did not touch that job. Right? If anybody knows like Vistaprint and these guys, they have huge plants. Nobody's running the equipment, right? It's all done automatically. So the landscape is definitely changing, and as PSP entrepreneur, which is basically what a PSP is, his business, he needs to know these things. The expos work for that, reaching out to somebody like myself and companies like TSL to help you structure what's coming next, what's coming down the pipe, what can work for your business, what can fit the solutions that you're doing right now. I think that's the way I would go, right? Talk to somebody that maybe has a bit of expertise in the area that you want to go first, as you mentioned, somebody to mentor you, and then tag off from there.
Yeah, I'm glad that you mentioned that last portion of your response in terms of really what are the opportunities for entrepreneurs, those who may be into printing right now, or PSPs, as you say, print service providers, but also entrepreneurs in any other industry that have print requirements. Most offices would have a printer. Most persons who do business would have a printer, and understanding really the technology that is involved, just from that short snippet of some of those things, I didn't even realize that, they were available, so you and I need to have a conversation clearly, because at any industry in Stuart, you're going to need to have your equipment, to satisfy your administrative needs as well. So you want to make sure that you're cutting edge.
Well, you see, but so it's not just the equipment, it's the efficiency of it, the automation and everything, the less touch points and all of those features. So it's not just because, companies have printers, but if your company have the right one that Matthew suggested, you might have a competitive advantage.
Yeah, definitely so. And that is, in a nutshell, what we wanted to bring across tonight in terms of as we said at the top of the show, we want to talk about business planning. We want to talk about business solutions, what is happening in the global landscape, the culture, really and truly cultural differences when you're approaching to expand and grow your business. And I think that this has been an incredible conversation, as we tell all our guests on the Big Potato podcast. The famous line. Yeah. We will have to bring you back. But I want to thank you, Matthew Jones, once again, business development manager for printing and imaging at TSL. Any final words for our audience here of entrepreneurs?
Yeah, I think the one thing I'd like to just drive home is the importance of networking and mentorship. I think a lot of people think that they know all the answers, right? But the truth is that we can all learn something, right? There's no point in time that we know everything. Somebody out there is either doing it, has done it, and can shorten your path to success. If you were just willing to take that information, take that mentoring, take that they'll nudge in the right direction and use it to help, soften your path. We don't always have to go through the hard path to get to success. Sometimes, just sometimes, the right mentor, industry experts, they could open up a gateway for you that you probably didn't see before and you were passing, right? I never forgot this one. I remember when I first started to sell cars, I went into San Fernando for the first time. I got this demo car to go into San Fernando, and I didn't know how to drive in San Fernando. I was making a loop in San Fernando for an hour, right? And I never thought to stop and ask somebody, bro, how do I get out, right? Until I finally did stop at a traffic light. And I said, bro, how do I? He said, just go straight. And that was the end of the conversation. I would have turned left and kept in that loop. I might have still be down there circling. Right? So yeah, definitely find a network, find a mentor, find somebody that has your interest at heart. And follow that path.
Thank you so much for those kind words. And of course, we wish you all the best. Continued success in your career, and I know that you would revamp your entrepreneurial spirit as well. Right now, you are an entrepreneur, doing a lot of good entrepreneurial work inside of our company, and you definitely have the mindset. So I'm sure that we'll be talking to you again probably about your business in time to come. So thanks for being here. All the best to your family as well, and until we meet again.
I look forward to it. Thank you, my brothers.
Yes, man.
I think it was a great episode. First time with video. A great episode. A great start back.
A great start, man. I mean, you're seeing faces. I don't know, Stuart mentioned something about ugly faces earlier, but I think it's 3 very handsome gentlemen that you're talking to here tonight and looking at. And I'm happy to say that this has been episode 1 of season 3 of the Big Potato Podcast. So, until next time, do well.
Entrepreneurship, it's our game. The Big Potato Podcast is yours to claim. From startups to scaling up, we cover it all. So don't mess up.